So this video is about doing a coolant flush on a Evora 2015 build year, normally aspirated one, so not supercharged. Yeah, and it's I've missed, the stuff that is pretty basic, but typically, so jack the car up and take the under trays off. That's effectively where we're up to. I'll show you what under trays we've got. So it's the very back under tray, the one under the engine, the front under trays, and the wheel arch liners and mud flaps. So next step. So this is the next step. So under the front of the car, excuse the buckets here, basically we've got the under tray off, and you can't really see too, well, yeah, that's, the light's a bit better there. There's this black plastic thing. So the radiator's just behind that. The radiator's got a drain plug in it, which is over on the right side of the car, or right side of the radiator. You just need to undo, there's, I think, 2 bolts in this thing here. You just need to undo those 2 bolts, which allows you to pull this down, and it gives you a bit of access. You don't have to take this whole thing off. You just pull it down, and it gives you access to the bottom of the radiator, which is sort of right here, and there's just a drain plug in it. So that allows you to drain the radiator. It's there. I think there's a flathead head on the drain plug, but you just can't get a flathead screwdriver into it. Oh, you may be. Next one is the left hand front water coolant pipe. So this down here is where it comes up from, or comes from the engine. That's the coolant pipe there. I'm just trying to do there, and there's a bleed valve just there. You can just see it. I think we'll go, oh no, that's not the bleed valve. Oh yeah, in there. You can see that. I'll try and get my finger up there. Right there. So you've got to take the bleed valve or the bleed cap off that. But that's left hand front. This here's right hand front. So this is the water pipe that comes sort of from the engine or to the engine, can't really know which way around. There's another bleed cap right there. So you can sort of see it under my finger, right there. So you've got to take that one off as well. I believe that just helps it obviously bleed, all the air out. So that's right hand front. We're at the back here now, obviously. Well, hopefully it's obvious. Down here, obviously, cap. So take that off. It's pretty clear. In the engine, there's 2 bleeding valves, effectively. I'll show you where both of these are. This is what I struggled finding. I wasn't 100% sure where they were. So we'll climb in there. Hold on. Let's see if we can find it. Oh. I think you can find it just up there. What do we got? I can't actually see very well. Hold on, where are we going? Is it there? I'm just going to try and move around. I can't actually see it very well. There's not enough light for me. But it's basically between the drive shaft and the engine. You look up sort of from the exhaust, between the banks and the exhaust. This is on the rear face of the block. So you look between the sump and the drive shaft, and you can see it effectively up there. So we've covered the drain plug for the engine on the rear side of the engine. The one on the front side of the engine, look, I actually found it easier to remove the inspection hatch on the bulkhead, which involves taking the rear seat out. So that's pretty easy. So here, that's the bottom section of the seat. That's just held on by Velcro. You just basically rip it up. It just pulls off. The vertical part of the seat, I don't want to smooth it. The vertical part of the seat, the bottom of it is just held in with these two bolts here. I think they're 7mm or 7mm socket or something. They just slot in, so they just need to be loosened. And then you have these two here, which are actually under the headrest. So the headrest goes in that way, and you can actually just see these slots here. So they just go on these steel bars. So the headrest just gets pushed up, which will then come off, and you'll have access to those, and then you can just take that seat right out. So with the seat, or the rear seat right out, you'll get access to this. So we'll go in there. So you can see the inspection hatch. I'm just going to move around a bit. This is the inspection hatch here. I've already undone it, but you undo it and basically just pry it off, and that's what you'll end up getting right in there. Now, the drain plug for the rear of the engine is actually quite easy to get to in here. Effectively, you follow the oil dipstick pipe, and once you follow the oil dipstick pipe, I'll try and move the finger out of the way, we haven't got enough light here. It's actually just behind the oil dipstick light. There's a bracket that holds this thing on here. I'll get my hand out of the way. That thing, two bolts holding that thing on. It's the bolt above it. So it's about, sort of about where the end of my finger is there, but behind this dipstick line. You need a relatively long extension, and that just allows you to basically come right out here and undo that drain plug there. And it will just drain. I didn't bother with any sort of container or anything, I just let it drain onto the floor. So that's the front drain plug for the engine. Oh, we've got the service, the Lotus service notes as well here, which I read beforehand as well. But hey, I know better than Lotus. So this here is totally your call. But you can see, I've just got to move here. So this is putting the drain plug, I'm going to start again. This here is looking forwards and putting the drain plug back in the bottom of the radiator. So this panel here is the one that you have to pull down. You can sort of see how I'm pulling down. What I've actually, it's all out of focus. It's just in here. What I've actually done, and this is totally everyone's call, it's a personal thing, but this is looking from the left side of the car to the right side of the car. This is that panel that I was talking about. I've actually drilled a hole in there, and that allows me, alright, to put a screwdriver up there and do that drain plug up. Super easy, you know. And if in the future, if I need to pull that drain plug out or anything like that, you know, it's just easier. Now what I'll do, so there's a bend in this panel here, that's about, let's see, probably 6 inches, so 150 mils from the back to the front. I'll just Yeah, so from the back, which is over here, to the front. All right, so it's about, you know, there's this lip. I've gone in the middle of that. And it's 230 mils from this edge here. So there's sort of a vertical face there, inwards to there. So 230 mils, what's that? 9 inches for those in the dark ages. So I've got actually a bit more light in the back of the car, so I can show you where that drain plug is. It's a little bit easier. What I've also done, so we've got a long socket. It's a, what is it, 14 mil with a flexible head on it just to move the drain pipe, and I put a bit of red tape on the end so you can actually follow it, because it's always a little bit hard. So just wait while I get in the car. Here we go again. So let's see where we can see it. So we can just see it behind the dipstick tube. The dipstick tube is this tube here, right? And the drain plug is just in there. So the socket is actually on it there. That's it there. When you actually see it in the car, it's actually quite obvious. So the bleeding of the coolant system is actually not too hard when you know some of the tricks, and I'll obviously describe those. So obviously reservoir, you know, right there, fill it up, away she goes, and then you actually have to bleed the air out of it. And what I found is that we'll just go to the front. So if we look under here, obviously this is the front wheel arch, front left-hand wheel arch. There's the bleed valve just up there. I think possibly you'll be able to see it. They've actually got a valve in them. So even though you just pull the cap off, which is sort of how the Lotus instructions say, you know, pull the cap off or unscrew it, let it bleed. There is actually, or in my case, so mine's a 2015, there is a valve in that you have to press down. So what I press that down with is with a diameter 5 bolt. It's just like a tyre valve, but you take the black cap off and you've got to press the effectively the tyre valve down that's inside this. And the same with the other side. I was trying to do it without pressing those valves down. There's no mention of there actually being a valve in there. I mean, it sort of makes sense that there is a valve in there, but hey, it's okay. But just be aware that if it's not bleeding or if there's nothing coming out of that, there's a valve in there that you have to press down. What was happening with me is that this pipe here wasn't getting hot at all because I just wasn't bleeding the air out of it. As soon as I bled the air out of that, or as soon as I pressed the valve down in that little thing there, it bled that pipe. This pipe started to get hot. Exactly the same in the other side. You know, I think it's called a Schneider valve, or my pronunciation may be wrong. But once that's bled, you know, once you're getting fluid out of there, you know, put the cap on, away she goes, and you know, you just reassemble it. I won't really go over about how to reassemble it. I'm gonna have a go. You know, I'll put it through a couple of hot and cold cycles, and then I'll just, you know, bleed it once again just to make sure. But yeah, that's about it. But the key thing is there's a valve in there. That's what got me or caught me out.